Good morning and welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Folks, sitting back, having a nice warm cup of tea because I'm still under the weather. I stumble upon a clip, a new one, a fresh one, of Joe Biden fighting with his teleprompter again, making up numbers, and fumbling through his words. And you sit back and you try to contemplate how the hell did he win? Now, some of you are saying, Brad, he didn't win. And I understand where you're coming from. But still, millions of people looked at Joe Biden, a guy that's not all there, corrupt as hell, and goes, I'm going to vote for that guy. It's wild. I know it's wild, but I can't help but think every time I see a video of this guy talking and he doesn't have a damn clue what's going on upstairs, going, how did he win? Trump sells out stadiums. Still tens of thousands of people outside the stadium trying to get in. Joe Biden shows up to an empty parking lot. And he wins. I know. It's crazy. Well, we can go on hours about it. But again, welcome. It is Monday, folks. It's great to see all of you. I'm so sorry we took about 3 days off. My goal for the show is to get through it without coughing. So this is not coffee. It is throat coat. If I do cough into the mic, you're on audio. If you're watching on video, I apologize. We got to get a show in, but folks, no joke. I could not get like a full sentence out without coughing. I was hopped up on some medication, some all-American cough drops. That's pretty much it. So we're going to try to get through this as healthy as we can be. But our lead story of the day is Joe Biden. I mean, when is it not? This guy was interviewed. He completely denied on camera the other day that he had nothing to do with his son, his business partners, no association whatsoever. Here's the outright lie from the president of the United States. Let's roll it.
On Ukraine and also China, there is polling by the Associated Press that shows that almost 70% of Americans, including 40% of Democrats, believe that you acted either illegally or unethically in regards to your family's business interests. Can you explain to the Americans, amid this impeachment inquiry, why you interacted with so many of your son and brother's foreign business associates?
I'm not going to comment on that. I did not, and it's just a bunch of lies.
You didn't interact with many of their business associates?
I did not. There's lies.
They're all lies, you guys. They're all lies. Folks, he's the liar. I mean, he is downright lying on all this stuff. Oh, we got the receipts. Now, we're not going to pull out and open up Pandora's box again on this because we've covered this in freaking length. I know we're beating a dead horse with it, but at length regarding him being with his brother's associates and business partners. And we'll just go down a few of these, okay? We're only going to go down a few of them. But here, we have House Speaker Mike Johnson coming out and saying the president just lied again to the American people. Just like we see from Jean-Pierre every time she's on the damn podium, which she was asked last week by Phil Wegman of Real Clear Politics, hey, why is Biden receiving checks from his son from a Chinese corporation, Chinese business? In the same way that China was funneling money to his brother, and his brother was funneling money to Joe Biden, which we have the receipts for. And, Joe Biden, no, nothing. I know nothing about that. I have a son, had no idea. So here's a little bit of the receipts on Joe Biden hooking up, spending some time with Hunter Biden's business partners. So if you recall, you have former Hunter Biden business partner, Devin Archer from Burisma Holdings, that was being investigated by Shokin, the prosecutor, and that was the whole quid pro quo that Biden came out on camera and said, oh, well, you don't fire Shokin that was looking into Burisma Holdings and a bunch of other corruption in Ukraine, well, then you're not going to get the $1 billion. And nothing happened to Joe Biden because he gets away with all this stuff. So Devin Archer testified on July 30th to the House Oversight Committee that Joe Biden was put on speakerphone during nearly 24 of his son's overseas work meetings. This isn't like some rando dude. This guy's been golfing with the Bidens. This guy's been to the White House with the Bidens. He's eaten dinner with the Bidens. He's done business dealings with the Bidens. But remember, Joe Biden, it's all lies. It's all lies. Sure. Archer also said that Biden dined twice. Dined twice while vice president in 2014, 2015 in DC's Cafe Milano. Not Melania, but Milano, with the son's Eastern European and Central Asian business partners, rather than just once in 2015, as previously documented through laptop records and witness sourcing. But remember, these laptops, the Hunter Biden laptop, every laptop out there is all fake. It's Russian disinformation. It's Russian misinformation. You can't believe any of it, folks, but you should believe in Joe Biden. You should believe in Joe Biden, the same guy that fights with his teleprompter, hits a golf ball backwards, falls up a flight of stairs, falls across stage at a graduation ceremony, fumbles through his words, doesn't know his wife's name, doesn't know his general's name, doesn't know that he's president, but calls Kamala Harris president, calls Barack Obama president while he's the president. I mean, this dude doesn't have a clue, but we're supposed to believe him? I don't know. Dinner guests included former Moscow First Lady. Oh, Moscow sounds real familiar. Who transferred? Are you guys sitting down? Are you sitting down? Oh, Moscow former First Lady transferred $3.5 million into Hunter Biden associated entity in 2014. The corruption's been going on for far too long. Who purchased the then second son a $142,000 sports car. Another guest, board advisor to Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma Holdings, which we've heard of so many times, which paid Hunter up to $1 million per year beginning in 2014, when his father assumed control of U.S. policy towards Ukraine. And remember, Burisma Holdings was the natural gas company that we mentioned previously that was being looked under the hood of. And the whole idea was, hey, what connections does the Biden family name have? Also referred to as the Biden family brand. What connections do we have? How can your father, the big man who takes 10% off the top, how can he help us with policy negotiations between various places around the world? Joe and Hunter Biden posed for a photo with these Kazakhstani guests, which a dinner attendee recalled to the Post was taken after the then vice president's participation in the small group meal. But no clue, doesn't remember shit. Oh, we're not done. I mean, it goes on and on, you guys. It literally goes on and on and on. I mean, look at this. A May 2017 email from another associate in the CEFC venture, James Giller, penciled in Joe Biden, nicknamed the big guy. But remember, he's not the big guy, but he's penciled in as the big guy, for a 10% cut in an October 17th email list. Joe Biden as a participant, he was there on a call about CEFC's attempt to buy U.S. natural gas, of which, God, when was this all happening? 2015, 2014, all the way to 2017. The Biden family brand. Folks, feel free to look through all of this, but here's $40,000 of laundered money coming from a Chinese corporation. What's that Chinese corporation? Oh, well, we just said what it was. Oh, it's CEFC, which he was on the phone with, which he's on emails with. Oh, the guy doesn't have a clue. There's also FBI informant file being released by Senator Chuck Grassley here, complaining in 2016 that he was coerced into how much of money in bribes? How much money, you guys? Oh, it says $10 million in bribes to Joe and Hunter Biden. Exchange for what, might you add? In exchange for what? Well, the vice president's help in ousting Ukrainian prosecutor General Viktor Shokin. But nothing being done. Oh, as you heard, he has no clue what's going on. Not a iota. It's all lies. Not a clue. And then when Karine Jean-Pierre's asked on the podium about it, well, talk to the White House counsel. She doesn't have a clue. It's all news to her. Joe Biden who? Who's Joe Biden? Well, we're not done. Oh, we're not done. Biden was in direct contact with Hunter's business partners using email aliases as vice president. Look at this. Just right at the top, Biden used alias right here accounts to correspond with Hunter and business associate 327 times over 9 years, folks. Dude spent a decade in communication with Hunter's business partners, and he just stood on the podium like 48 hours ago and said, it's lies. It's not real. I never associated with them. I can't wait to see during this week's White House press briefing how Karine Jean-Pierre spins this one. I doubt she's even going to answer it. She's probably going to say, talk to the White House counsel. Well, it says here, as Vice President, Joe Biden used email aliases and private email addresses to communicate with son Hunter Biden and Hunter Biden business associates under hundreds of times. New records released by the House Ways and Means Committee revealed. The committee obtained metadata from IRS whistleblowers Gareth Shapley and Joseph Ziegler, which we've talked about here on the show, that reveals Joe Biden used alias email accounts 327 times during a 9-year period from 2010 to 2019, which is the period in which Hunter Biden was on the board of all these random companies that he wasn't even close to being qualified for. And that was what Victor Shokin was looking into, was the fact that he was on the board, one of the many things he was looking to do in Burisma Holdings. Why is Hunter Biden on the board when he doesn't know jack bleep about natural gas? So look at the time frame there, 2010 to 2019. God, who was also who was vice president at the time, you guys? Who was vice president at the time? It was Joe Biden. To correspond with his son, Hunter, and one of Hunter's key business associates, among others. The majority of the email traffic took place while Biden was vice president. The committee says 54 of the emails were exclusively between Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's business partner, who the committee describes as the architect of the Biden family shell companies. But this didn't happen, you guys. In the same way, you guys, we've seen this charade before a couple times. From Hillary Clinton, I had an email server. I had emails. I had an email account. Well, yeah, you knucklehead was in your bathroom. While you're looking at it, you're on the pooper, looking at your own email server. Like, who the hell puts an email server in their bathroom, for one? And second, she used BleachBit. She had her staffers break all the cell phones with hammers. Who the hell does that? Nothing happens to her. But folks, if you go back to the Obama administration once again, when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State with the email server, and that knucklehead Joe Biden was vice president and his son was on Burisma Holdings and do a bunch of other shady stuff, you have Eric Holder as Attorney General and Barack Obama as the president. And what were they doing? I don't know, just a few things. The Fast and Furious case. What else was going on? I don't know. The IRS was going after political opponents on the conservative side of the aisle. That was all going on. And what was funny was, going back to the whole email thing, Barack Obama said he knew nothing about any of these things under his administration, even though he was in email communication with Eric Holder as Attorney General. So this is the charade the Democrats have been playing for decades, folks, and they're trying to sit there and lie to you. Well, here's a couple of the email aliases right here. Let's see what Joe Biden could come up with. Robin Ware 456, JRB Ware, and Robert L. Peters. Earlier this year, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer revealed the existence of Biden email aliases. After his Comer release of those aliases, Fox News Digital learned the whistleblowers, who are still employed by the IRS, ran a search in their existing files for the Biden email aliases in exchange for Hunter Biden and Eric Sherwin. The research and the search itself led to a revelation of, again, 327 exchanges. Oh, but Joe Biden knows nothing, you guys. This is all news to Karine Jean-Pierre. This is not news. Folks, news is something that's new, okay? This has been going on since 2010 that we know of, and probably earlier when he was a senator. And I was thinking, and I want to run this by you guys. I was actually thinking we'll come to our next little flub by Joe Biden here, the actual video that I was watching when I was doing some research here for the show. You know, Joe Biden didn't really want to run for president. And he's like, oh, well, Bo, my son, wanted me to. And, you know, Democrats don't have anybody. I'm curious, as if maybe he didn't want to run for president because of all the baggage that he has. Like, that was maybe like the saga, right? The end of the saga, the end of the Biden family corruption, the end of it was him being vice president. And that was done. You had the Biden family brand, you racked up a ton of money, and you just sail off into the sunset. But Democrats said no. No, Joe, we need you. Hillary didn't work out. We got to fight Orange Bad Man Bad. We need you, Joey. We know you're not all there. We know you poopy your diaper, but we need you, Joey. So they chauffeur him out on a gurney. They tie strings up and puppet him around and said, look, you run for president. You save the Democrat Party. We'll swindle the election. We'll change the voter laws. We'll sit there and harvest ballots for you, Joe. We'll get you in, even though you can't even fill a parking lot. We'll get you in as president, and we won't go after you. will have the entire state, will have the entire deep state behind you on this one, Joe, because we need to make sure that we control power. What do you guys think about that conspiracy theory? I came up with it, drinking out of a Bald Bradshaw mug this morning with my nice throat coat. But really, I mean, it's not it's not that far-fetched if you really think about it. They have nobody. I mean, Democrats still don't have anybody lined up. If you're looking for a holiday gift, folks, again, we have mugs. I know a lot of you have been asking about them. We got shirts and we got books, folks. We got it all. Look how dandy it is. It's so good. But it is the holidays, folks. We would love for you to be able to get your spouse, your loved ones, some Bald Bradshaw merch. Get it for them. They'll love it. They'll be their saving grace. Well, here's that video that I stumbled upon. Just look at this guy's face. You don't have a you're telling me that's the face of a guy that knows what the hell's going on? Joe Biden here completely invents a new number. And it's amazing. It's amazing this guy was voted in. Here we go.
I watch instead of Infrastructure Week, America's having infrastructure decade.
That's not it.
Over $1,300,000,000,300,000,000. Trump just talks the talk.
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Joe? Hold on a second. He's looking at the number. He's like, I don't know what it is. Oh, God.
Over $1,300,000,000,300,000,000. Trump just talks the talk. We walk the walk.
What was that again, Joe? I'm sorry. What was the number?
Over $1,300,000,000,300,000,000. Trump just talks the talk. We walk the walk. Look.
Folks, he's making stuff up now. He's literally he looked at the teleprompter. I was like, I don't know. Right? He looked confused. He actually didn't look that bad there. I mean, he's really tightening up his face somehow. I don't know how he's doing it. He's clearly talking to Nancy Pelosi because she looked like she was just stunned 24 hours a day. You couldn't tell whether she was smiling or not, but it looks like some work's being done on Joe Biden here to show for him out. Folks, this guy won. And as I mentioned, I was sitting there preparing for the show, and I'm like, Donald Trump stadiums, Joe Biden nothing. Again, there was the Army-Navy game for football that's like a normal thing for a president to go to. I don't think Joe Biden's ever been to a football game yet as president. He'll trip over a blade of grass. I mean, somehow you won, you guys. It amazes me, it floors me. And where's the Republicans at on that? Where's the Republicans like really preparing that this next election doesn't get bamboozled again? I've always said, Democrats, look, they did it once. They're going to try it again. They're going to try it again, folks. They're already doing it. I mean, hell, in New York City, they're already allowing illegal immigrants to vote in a municipal election. You don't think they're going to try that here? Really? They're allowing illegal immigrants to get loans. You don't think there's going to be some foosery? Some states are allowing illegal aliens to get not voter IDs, but ID cards with no registered address, by the way. So you don't think they're not going to try to swindle the election on you? We got to get out and vote, you guys. I'm going to be saying this for the next year. We got to get out and vote. Because again, we got stunning images showing Arizona border overrun by massive surge of adult male migrants from across the globe. Folks, the Tucson sector saw over 17,000 encounters in a week. Are you asking if that's a new record? Yes, it is. Joey did it again. He did it freaking again. Dude, we do this every month. There's a new record. It sounds satire. It sounds like I'm making this up. Joe Biden breaks a new record every month. There's something new. Whether it's a year-to-year record, it's a weekly record of encounters at the border, or a monthly record. And they sit on the podium and say that Joe Biden cares about this. He's losing sleep over it. No, he's not. The guy gets enough sleep. He gets so much sleep, you can see the CPAP marks on his face. Don't tell me he's losing sleep over this. The guy's getting plenty of freaking sleep. Well, a remote part of the Arizona border is being overrun. It's being freaking overrun by a massive surge of mainly adult migrant males from across the globe. But I was told they're seeking asylum, you guys. I was told they're fleeing from persecution and a violent government. No. We saw just last week on our last episode before I got sick was these migrants thanking Joe Biden, like kissing his feet, praising the man for everything he's done. And then you had these other illegal immigrants sitting there and saying, oh, we're just here for a better life. You know, again, I can understand that. We're also here for work. So it's not, oh, so you're not here seeking asylum. You're just here for a better life, which everybody else that wants to come in is too. And you got to go, well, I'm a good, they go, I swear they said this. I'm a good person. You broke the law. You could be in totality maybe an amazing person, but you broke the law. You gave the middle finger to the other tens to maybe millions of people that want to come here as well and said, you know, I'm more important than you. My life is so much harder than yours. Screw you guys. I'm going to go to the center line. I'm just going to come here illegally. Oh, we got a lot of stuff here. When you find out today, how many illegal immigrants they're allowing into the interior of the country every single day, you're going to punch your screen. I got you set up, folks. We're going to take good care of you. Again, if you're enjoying us here, hit that like and subscribe button. We got a lot of subscribers. We might hit 50,000. Our goal was 50,000 by the end of 2023, and we might do it here. We freaking might actually do it. Who would have thought? Folks, when I make these goals, I'm just like throwing a Hail Mary. You know, I thought we wouldn't have 1,000 after multiple years. We're almost at 50,000. We're growing. Clearly, people love the show, and I love you guys. You're true American patriots. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. We love your support. Fox, I almost said FBS. I don't know where that even came from. Watching too much of Joe Biden, that's where it came from. Fox News was on the ground in, was that Lukeville, Arizona, where Customs and Border Protection have been forced to close the local port of entry due to the surge of illegal entries. It's wild. Look at this. Look at these numbers. One man told Fox that he paid $10,000 to a smuggler to travel from Colombia, while a man said he was planning to head to New York City if he was released in the United States. So it's not just us sending them there. I mean, that's where they want to go. But we were told that we were forcing them, guys. We were told that Republicans were forcing them to go to these places. No, they chose it. They chose it. The Tucson sector saw nearly 3,000 encounters in a single day and has seen 17,500 encounters in a single week. To put that in perspective, Chicago has had only 19,000 illegal aliens in like a year and a half, and their infrastructure is collapsing. It's so bad there in Chicago that's being ran by Democrats. These immigrants from Venezuela want to go back to Venezuela. Like they're leaving. They fled their country because it was war torn. It was terrible, right? The weather was bad, according to Kamala Harris. They couldn't get work. It's so rough. So they go to more prosperous lands, and then they go to a Democrat-run city and find out, whoa, my third world country is a lot better than this. I'm going to go back. See you later. Would rather deal with war, famine, whatever I was, drought, than deal with whatever I'm dealing with in Democrat-ran cities. Let that one freaking sink in, and people will still vote Democrat. So you have Tucson, Arizona, who I think it's, what is it? It's not Bowser. It's a Doug Ducey that's running over there. Give him some props because the man's dealing with 17,500 encounters a week. Is dealing with more encounters in 1 week than Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York City sees in like a year. And you're going to tell me Democrats run things better? Really? I don't know. Meanwhile, Fox cameras caught a moment when migrants exploited gaps in the border wall, which were being repaired by federal contractors, and rushed through the gap and into the United States. It's wild what's going on here. Unbelievable. And look at this. Freaking Alejandro Mayorkas. That guy's such an idiot. That's the bald-headed guy. The magnets, Brett. The magnets. Tucson sector is leading in encounters, and our agents and officers are overrun and undermanned. The situation is far past a breaking point, and those on the front lines of this, oh, he finally called a crisis. It just took him a few sentences. Front lines of this crisis are in need of immediate support. Why did you tell that to the guy that's running the show of the executive branch called Joe Biden your boss? Because he only calls it a challenge. It's just a situation. That's why I emphasize that. From Jen Psaki, who was the predecessor of jean-pierre, they both called it a challenge for a while, and then they downgraded it as the numbers got worse to just a situation. But if you finally woke up, Alejandro Mayorkas, where you said, finally, we need a border wall, the dude that was lying to Congress for 2 years, it's not bad, nothing's going on, it's fine. You allowed 10 million people to pour across the border. Now you finally call it a crisis. Now you say we need immediate support. No, you needed immediate support 2 years ago. You were just an a-hole lying to everybody. And a-holes and their actions lead to this. And you know what, folks? I'm using that word very, very specifically because if you look here on your screen, and for those that are on audio, illegal immigrant arrested in connection with murder of 16-year-old Texas cheerleader. This is one of many freaking stories of illegal immigrants killing Americans when they shouldn't be here in the first place. But they're coming for a better life, you guys. They want to assimilate into our country. They want to assimilate with all the creed. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. I'm being facetious. That's just the message of the Democrat Party. That's their platform, that all these people are good. Every single one of them. You can't say a damn bad thing about anybody that comes into this country illegally or is here still illegally when their visa expired, which is a lot of them. But they're all here for a better life, you guys. They want to assimilate. They want to make better pastures for us here. It's a bunch of BS, obviously. An illegal immigrant has been arrested in connection with the murder of a 16-year-old Texas high school cheerleader. Lisbeth Medina, whose slain body was discovered in a bathtub in her home by her mother this past week. This is freaking heart-wrenching. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but this is what's going on here. This is what's going on here, folks. We're allowing these people to come in and run roughshod over our country, and Democrats want to give them access to vote in municipal elections, IDs, loans, your hard-earned savings. Rather than going to other Americans to open up businesses and all those other things, they're going to illegal aliens, illegal immigrants. Maybe could be going to our vets for something. No, not Americans, going to illegal immigrants. So how many are pouring across the border every single day, folks? 5,000 illegal immigrants, not just pouring across the border, but released every day into the United States. Admin officials privately tell lawmakers total illegal immigrants released could top 1.8 million for the year if current pace continues. Oh, it's more than that. It's more than that. That's what we released. That is not the gotaways. The Biden administration was told by lawmakers that an average of 5,000, an average, I mean, it could be higher, probably is higher, illegal immigrants are currently being released in the United States each day at the border, while there was over 670,000 illegal immigrants who evaded Border Patrol last fiscal year. Yes, we're not talking about the entire 3 years that Joe Biden's been president. We're talking about just in a fiscal year. In a briefing on Friday to Arizona congressional delegation, House and Senate Judiciary Committees, and the House, Senate, and Homeland Security Committee, Fox has told the Department of Homeland Security officials told lawmakers that there were around 670,000 known gotaways at the border last fiscal year. Alejandro Mayorkas, the knucklehead, the Brett Baier show guy, had previously acknowledged that the number was over 600,000. Now, if you guys don't understand why I keep going, the magnets, Brett, the magnets, because Alejandro Mayorkas, DHS secretary, the knucklehead, the idiot, that lied to Congress multiple times, says the border's secure, the border's not open, all these other things, had no idea where terrorists were at in the country. He looks to Congress and was being questioned by Jim Jordan a while ago, and Jim goes, "Hey, Mr. Mayorkas, where's all these terrorists at in our country that you allowed in?" "Oh, I'll get back to you. I don't know. So then 24 hours later, he goes on Fox News, Brett Baier, and Brett asks him the same question. And he's like, "Well, what I could tell you about is the magnets, Brett. The magnets that are coming across the border." The guy's an idiot. He's an idiot. But should we expect anything less? Look, an idiot that's in office named Joe Biden, I'm sorry for calling him an idiot to some because, look, he's a human being, but he's an idiot, okay? He's governing very poorly. He's a knucklehead. You have a knucklehead running the show, you're going to hire other knuckleheads, which is why we get Kamala Harris as vice president, okay? The borders hasn't solved the damn thing at the border. If anything, exacerbated it. We shouldn't expect anything less from her. Look what she did to California. So you have a knucklehead running, has another knucklehead as vice president, then hires another knucklehead as DHS secretary like Alejandro Mayorkas, hires another knucklehead like Anthony Blinken, then hires another knucklehead called Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki realized, well, I'm too much of a knucklehead to be here, so she left her job. So they said, hey, you know what? We got to replace one knucklehead with another knucklehead, so let's do Karine Jean-Pierre, and then they put in John Kirby and Jake Sullivan. I mean, it's knucklehead after knucklehead. There's not a competent person in there. I mean, if you think about the odds, you guys, of not having one competent person in your branch, and even in your cabinet, I mean, it is remarkable. But, that's Joe Biden, Democrat Party for you, folks. Lawmakers have also told they are aware of this average about these illegal aliens being released each day to non-governmental associations or organizations, also called NGOs, who provide migrants with assistance, meaning your taxpayer dollars. Right, because they're subsidizing in some way, shape, or form. See, they say NGOs. Oh, well, these are nonprofits. They're just the American people just trying to help out. Sure it is. Meanwhile, the ports of entry, an average of 1,600 migrants are being processed and released via use of humanitarian parole each day under the CBP, the one app, where basically they could seek asylum through this app on their way rather than doing it in their home country. So when they get here, their paperwork just kind of gets expedited and goes, hey, why don't you come on? We'll see you in 4 years, sucker. We'll see you in 4 years. Here's a cell phone and ankle bracelet that you're going to throw away and throw off a bridge. Yeah, we're backtracking, folks. We've been covering this for 3 years. We've been covering this for 3 years. They gave them cell phones. They gave them ankle bracelets. And then what they saw was, hey, you know what? These people aren't showing up for their court dates. Where's their cell phone and ankle bracelet? Finding them in trash cans, off bridges, off the side of the roads. And then their court dates are like 4 years down the road. Wild. And look at this. They're coming from over 150 different countries. But don't worry. Every one of them is good, you guys. Not one of them is a sex trafficker. None of them wants to do harm to your family or Americans. Every single one of them wants to assimilate to our creative values of this country. Every single one of them wants to vote Democrat. That one is true. Every single one of them just wants a prosperous life. Not a single one is a terrorist. Not a single one is a rapist. Not a single one is a criminal by any means. No, no, no. 100% of them are good. There's no reason to vet. We should have open borders. That's what the Democrats want, and that's what the Democrats are telling all of us. Unbelievable. Well, ending off with something I care about a lot is most students at Yale received A's last year. Frustrated professors say it's dishonest to our students. I want to cover this because I get a lot of people that ask me, hey, you know what? What's the education system like nowadays? It's a dumpster fire. What are students like nowadays? If you're in public school, it's a dumpster fire. There are some good students, meaning they're respectful, they're polite. Private's the way to go. I mean, private students are a heavenly grace. Private students are amazing, but public, folks, is just going downhill. But this applies to everything in the education here, what this says, this report. So regardless of whether it's private or public or even college, this applies across the board to our education system. And it's basically falsifying records. And I'll show you what this is. A new report recently revealed that Yale University is apparently handing out grades in the A range or A- range like they are candy. And it's not just them. It's mostly all schools here, and that's how they get them to graduate, basically. And again, I promise I'll explain. An estimated basically 79% of all grades given to undergraduates at the prestigious university fell within the A range, which is ridiculous. In stats, we have a thing called the bell curve. In the middle of the bell curve, roughly, again, this is just kind of a normal distribution, you would expect around 68% of your students to lie within a 70 to say 79% range. That means average. And that's good. That means majority of your students are with an average grade. They're average people. Not everybody is a goddess of grades and a goddess of just wherewithal of power and knowledge. So about, again, 68% of your data, or one standard deviation from the mean, is going to be average students within a C. So majority of students, again, should get a C. I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to explain this clearly. As you shift over to 2 standard deviations, it ups the amount of people that are going to be within that gap. If you shift over to that second standard deviation to the right of the mean, it's going to be roughly 13.5%. 13.5%, you could say, are roughly going to be in a B. So that's not a lot of people. And if you shift it over to the other side, the left-hand side of the mean, going into the negative standard deviation side, roughly 13.5% are going to have Ds. And then 2.35%, roughly, give or take, is going to have Fs. And then 2.35 roughly is going to be at a low A. And then you have the 0.15 are going to have roughly the highest grades they're going to be. Virtually nobody, but there's going to be a handful because not everybody is a savant. But what's happened now is that bell curve has clearly shifted where now your mean is all A's. So instead of having a nice like bell curve like this, I want to see if I can find it for you guys actually while we're doing this. So I really want to have you guys understand this because it's important. Normal bell curve. Okay. Actually, here we go. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so this is actually perfect. So this is psychology. In the middle there, that middle portion is going to be 68. See that 50%? This isn't an empirical rule, but majority of people are going to lie within that. The further you get down into that gap right there, and it kind of shifts down, are going to be the people that don't represent kind of everybody else. So this is the empirical rule. And basically you shifted everybody over. So you see in blue there, that's normal. That one in red is basically what's going on at Yale, where the average has now shifted to everybody getting A's. Not everybody gets A's, you guys. Why have grades in the first place if you're going to just hand out participation awards? But that's what Democrats want. And that's what's happening in the university system. The surprising development has left both students and faculty alarmed that high grades appear to have lost their value, according to the New York Times. Shelley Kagan, a philosophy professor, said, when we act as though virtually everything that gets turned in is some kind of A, where A is supposedly meaning excellent work, we are simply being dishonest to our students. Absolutely. Absolutely. The grade report was put together by economics professor Ray Fair, who noted that the increase in grades started during the COVID-19 pandemic and has continued to rise since then when students averaged a 3.7 GPA, up from 3.6 2013-14. The details of the study were first shared with the Yale Daily News. Now, you might be going, well, Brad, maybe because of all this information that's out there in the internet, students just across the board are getting smarter. No, they aren't. The average IQ of an American for the first time in a century has actually dropped. So it's going to sound rough when I say this. People are not getting smarter based on IQ. They're getting dumber. That is a real stat. In the first time in 100 years, the IQ of an American has dropped. But somehow your GPA is going up across the board. It's not just happening at Yale, you guys. It's happening everywhere. And the reason why, again, because COVID. So we've gone soft and we've kept things soft rather than reverting back to what it was pre-COVID. So people have gone 4 years with having everything handed to them, and they don't have any clue what college actually looks like, or high school or middle school, because everything has been shifted to appear so much easier and to be easier, where grades are inflated. And so when we try to revert things back, everybody gets upset because, like, well, he was getting A's for 4 or 5 years. Well, yeah, because everything was easier. Again, that's across the board. And people need to wake up to the fact that we're still dealing with COVID-19 era policies within the education system, meaning our curriculum is easier and we're slowly trying to revert it back. But kids are going, they go, well, I'm getting A's. I got A's all the time. You know, oh, screw this guy. He's just a bad teacher. She's just a bad teacher. No, they're not necessarily a bad teacher. It's just you weren't given hard material. And now that you're getting hit with a freaking wall because you're woken up to what real education looks like, then you get upset. And what happens? They drop the class. They don't want to select that professor, so that professor doesn't get hired. I mean, we're creating a system that is not sustainable. Fair told the Daily News, some thought the COVID effect would be temporary, but it has more or less persisted. It's probably the faculty going easier on students. There you go. There you go. The faculty going easier on students because COVID was a pain. The report simply documents a history of grading at Yale. It gives the current state of grading, and I think the numbers are straightforward to interpret. Yeah, especially if you know stats. No freaking way. There is no freaking way that you're going to get all those students getting an A. If you don't understand stats and you're going, well, it just makes sense to me. You don't understand stats. That is not normal. There's a reason as to why that bell curve would shift to the right. It doesn't just shift naturally. Sometimes it does. Very rare. Not when you're dealing with stuff like this. Hasn't done it for a long time. Even having a 3.6 GPA is still kind of high in my opinion. Fox News Digital, the one that Yale student, Gustavo Toledo, who is studying political science. That's a waste of, oh, there you go. I was about to say a waste of a major, but he intends to pursue law school, so I guess not so much of a waste. Suggested the sudden inflation of grades across campus could oversaturate the job market, making it more difficult for high-performing students to stand out among their peers. Also, you're basically showing an employer falsified papers going, oh my God, you're a 3.9 student. Holy crap. And you're from Yale. You must be so smart. No. You're basically hiring a B average student, maybe a C average, because everything was distributed to the right so far. It was skewed over. So the employer thinks that they're getting one thing when in actuality, they're getting something totally different. And so now you're going to invest all this money, maybe pay for the guy's bar license or his bar exams and shell out all this money to this employee that you think is stellar, and in actuality, they don't work out. So you just wasted all this money. You wasted all your time trying to find somebody that's going to fit into your culture and your environment, meet your level of GPA, and they don't work out. I mean, you're screwing over the student because They have a falsified idea of who they really are when in actuality, they're not that intelligent. I feel bad for saying this. They're not that intelligent. I'm not that intelligent. I'm not trying to put myself holier than thou. I'm an idiot. I've always said that. I do this out of my closet. I do it for fun. It's a hobby. I don't put myself above anybody. Please know that. I mean, other than Joe Biden and some Democrats out there, but that's regardless, okay? I think of myself as a knucklehead, okay? I don't think I'm smarter than a lot of people, and I'm not. I'd get destroyed in any debates or whatever. I don't know that much stuff, but I know common sense, and I know statistics a little bit. I'm not a savant in it, but I know that this distribution is definitely freaking skewed to the right and it shouldn't be. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is fine. It's not. It's really not. The report also noted that A's given to students depend on the class. A total of 52%, meaning half of all students enrolled in economics courses received an A, whereas a staggering 92% received an A in history of science and medicine and public health courses. Really? The Times noted that Yale is not the only school giving A's to its students. A report provided in October from Harvard University's undergraduate office revealed that 79% of grades given during the 2020-2021 school year fell within the A range. So it's all manipulated. It's all a bunch of BS at the end of the day. You're basically going there as a participation trophy. You're paying all this money to have a plaque on the wall, and it's bullshit. I understand that these kids are smart, but the distribution should not change from school to school. That's why it's called a normal distribution curve. It should be in the realm of normal. And when you have it shift over to the right, you should be looking at that data, which it seems like the professors are, and going, this is a little alarming that our distribution is shifted so far right. That means your exams are not hard enough. You're being way too lenient, and you're catering to something. You're doing something wrong that isn't normal, because if it was normal, you would get more closer to that normal distribution curve of roughly 68% of your students falling within a 70 to 79% range, let's just say, for example. Again, I'm just spitting out random numbers here a little bit, kind of shooting from the hip. As with Yale, there were dramatic differences between A's given in engineering and science courses versus humanity courses. I guarantee you, without even looking at it, I guarantee you humanitarian courses are going to be higher average than the sciences. The Harvard Crimson reported the proportion of A-range grades given to the 2020-2021 year varied significantly. Division 73% in the arts of humanities and 65% in both the sciences and social sciences. 60% in the courses of engineering and applied sciences. I told you it was going to be freaking lower. Of course. Folks, when I got my accounting degree, my bachelor's of science in accountancy, and then I went back to USC to get my master's, which was basically a liberal arts degree, well, I got a 4.0. It's top 5% of my graduating class. I'm not trying to give myself a pat on the back, but Phi Kappa Phi, baby. It was one of the easiest things I've ever done. It was a lot of work, a lot of reading, but it wasn't hard. It was just time consuming. My bachelor's degree in accountancy was one of the hardest degrees that I got. I had to work for that, really, really work for it and get a good GPA to where I can get into a good firm. And I was hired by a firm a year before I ever graduated college. Now, I'm not here to brag. Slightly, I'm boasting a little bit. But the point is that, certain majors aren't equivalent with others. If you're a liberal arts major, it's a joke. We made fun of you in college. The accountants, the business school, and engineering guys, we got along really well because we understood that our majors were hard, that we weren't knuckleheads. But when you go in the lesbian dance theory and you get an A and you think you're holier than thou and you turn into a freaking lib working for the Biden administration, then you're a diversity hire and you're working as basically Karine Jean-Pierre's job and you can't figure out why you can't answer a simple question. Well, that's why, because you got an A in college and then you were hired as a diversity hire. And now you can't answer simple questions, which is why you see it at all forms of government. All these people at all top levels can't answer a simple damn question like you saw from the Harvard professor, MIT professor, and what was it? I think it was the Yale professor about, hey, you know what? Is it harassment and bullying if you call for basically the extinction of Jews? Well, if it turns into conduct that it meets our classification of an individual and the individual meets our conduct, and if it falls in line with our policy, it's what? That's why, folks, because these kids, these adults now have all graduated with great grades when in actuality they didn't deserve a great grade in the first place. And there needs to be a big shift, because if there's not going to be continually a big shift, basically you're paying for a participation. You're paying to have your kid go to college and not learn a damn thing other than be indoctrinated by this woke ideology and leftist brain stupid theory, and turn out to be a freaking hardcore lib yelling in the streets when Donald Trump is voted in office. But wanted to bring awareness to y'all. I always like doing a fun little segment that I find interesting to me. I hope it finds interest in your heart and mind. Thank you so much for always joining me here on the Bald Brad Show. We do have a book. There's a lot of goodies out there for you on our website, baldbrad.com. Merch, everything is in the link in the description below. Pick up yourself something for a loved one for this holiday. I'm sure they're going to love Trojan Horse, How the Left Destroys America. It's a timely book, folks, and it still holds up. With that being said, I'll see you tomorrow here on The Bob Brad Show.